that everything that we need takes place. And so I say good morning to our friends that are joining us in our virtual community this morning, recognizing that we are here to celebrate the goodness of all that there is, the goodness of life as it expresses in its grand and glorious and magnificent ways. This morning, I want to begin with a reminder for those of us who may have not voted in the last election or may have moved since the last election took place. Tomorrow, this is for our California audience, tomorrow, Monday, the 30th of August, is the last day to register to vote in the September election. The importance is to register and to vote. We're not telling you how to vote. We're just encouraging you to vote, to exercise your right. And I've asked our tech team to drop the link in our chat and in our comment section on our Facebook page, the link to registertovote.ca.gov. And we just encourage you to take advantage of this responsibility to exercise our rights. I have a question for you. You sometimes feel that this journey that we call life, throughout this journey, that we're dealing with a giant mystery. A giant mystery that we're dealing with. Do you feel that sometimes? I know this is certainly my experience as I go throughout the day. There's a story that is told about two ducks who get in a fight, and after the fight, they swim off. And each one flaps its wings vigorously a few times, releasing any surplus energy that has been built up during the fight. And then they swim off as if nothing has happened. You know, I've observed this pattern with small children, with my daughters when they were growing up, and with other small children in the family. And I've observed it with other children playing together. They get into the little spats, and whatever it is, you know, there may be an exchange of blows and some tears that are shed. And after about 5 or 10 minutes, they just let everything go. They're back playing as if nothing has happened. Who holds on to the grudge? The parents and the adults. You know, we want revenge because our child was wronged or whatever that is. And that's true, and for me, that is part of this mystery of life. And it is true in other areas. I know it's true for me where I hold on to grudges and I have an unwillingness to drop the fight. Well, as I take a step back and I practice the theme that has been presented to us during the month of August, and that is a pause for guidance, I allow myself to recognize those places, and I chip away. Each time I chip it away at one of those little grudges that I had held on to, I experience just a little bit more freedom, a little bit more release, a little bit more ease. I just feel my body relax. And so it is through the renewed vision that I take this pause for guidance, that I become attuned with and in alignment with the good that naturally surrounds me. Now, this doesn't mean that I go back and I open the door for that experience or for that individual to re-enter my life again. It doesn't work that way. Once the door is closed to the experience, the door is closed. What continues is that I hold love in my heart for that individual or for the experience, knowing that out of that, there was a great lesson that life had taught me. Whether I appreciate that lesson in the moment or whether it reveals itself at a later point in life. And so the invitation is to rise and to re-emerge through restoration, integration, self-care, and evolution. And again, doing this requires that we drop the grudges and we drop the fight. And I just offer a brief recap for the month of August, since this is the last Sunday that we are exploring this topic, a pause for guidance. This pause for guidance is an invitation for us to be intentional as well as playful when we exercise our pauses. Whenever we take an intentional pause for guidance, for rest, and for rejuvenation, and to prepare for the next leg of the journey, we identify the tools of our teaching, of our Science of Mind teaching, to use for our intentional tune-up. We enjoy a playful pause that sparks our imagination, and we navigate our way using our God positioning system, our GPS, our internal GPS. Most of us nurture our relationships with ourselves. Most importantly, is that we nurture our relationship with ourselves through self-renewal as we rise and reemerge. Continuing the journey, we welcome joy, innovation, authenticity, vulnerability, and the opportunity to evolve our thinking. And this sounds like a lot of work, and it is, but it's good work. It's good work, and it's easy work because we have that internal wherewithal, if you will, within us that guides us and loves us through this process. These pauses for guidance and self-renewal are the core teachings of our timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision of the science of mind. We rise and reemerge by recognizing that the first step we take involves becoming aware that we already have all of the God qualities that we wish to cultivate and experience in everyday life. We already have what we want. And Ernest Holmes reminds us of this in his little book, How to Change Your Life. We already have all of the God qualities that we wish to cultivate and experience. We have these within us. We already have what we want. It's just igniting that spark, igniting that memory that invites us back to that place of remembering. And so I want to look at 3 qualities that support our guidance and our self-renewal. And the first quality is self-awareness. Self-awareness is the foundation for conscious choice. It is the willingness to observe and to take responsibility for our internal and external choices. And speaking of external choices, there's a little cartoon and a meme that is going around on social media, and some of you may have seen it. And it's a picture of a little girl, and there's either a caption underneath the picture or the one I saw most recently. This little girl has a t-shirt on, and the t-shirt says, "Dear teacher, I talk to everyone, so moving my seat won't help." And so I would say that this little child is self-aware of herself, of her conscious choices. She's declaring up front, I talk to everybody, so moving my seat won't resolve the problem. And so sometimes we need to move our seat to solve a problem, to shift an experience. Our self-awareness comes through the practice that illuminates our alignment with our Science of Mind principles. And through practice, we become conscious of our motivations, we become aware of our inner dialogue, and we become aware that we always have the option to choose peace for ourselves. We always have that option to choose peace for ourselves. Our second quality is our spiritual alignment and self-renewal. Recognizing who we are, we align spiritual principles and actions. And it is through the practice. Notice the word that is reoccurring in our conversation this morning is practice. Through the practice of affirmative prayer, sacred study, and the inward journey, we're always taking that inward journey, we invite a harmonious equilibrium of divine right action and self-renewal. This is bringing us back into spiritual alignment with the true essence of who we are. Ernest Holmes writes this in How to Change Your Life. Spiritual growth is the essence and beautiful action of life itself. This is eminently important and is the ultimate reward which reflects in our abilities and our activities of daily living. And our third quality is spiritual discernment. As we rise and as we reemerge spiritually, we discern what is ours to be and do on our continual journey. We practice self-love. And I think this is the most important of all of our practices, is that we practice self-love, recognizing that it is God expressing itself through us as love, and that love is the only thing that there is. And so when we practice self-love, we can ask, in what ways am I called to serve? What is my capacity to serve, and what must I learn in order to answer the call to serve? So there is asking, what am I being called, and where am I being called to serve? In what ways? What capacity do I have? And what must I learn to answer the call? And this comes out of the time that we take to be and do. Quite often we have the tendency to put the cart before the horse, if you will, and we move into the doing rather than taking time to imagine and to understand and allow the being to unfold. So we're called to be in every situation. Michael Bernard Beckwith offers us this in his book, Spiritual Liberation. Spiritual awakening is a journey of the heart. Each person's heart is a flame to know its true nature, to commune with its source. This is the essence of where we are called to be in our practice, to be in tune with our true nature and to commune with its source. And so again, self-awareness is a practice that illumines our alignment with the science of mind principles. Spiritual alignment comes to us through the practice of affirmative prayer, sacred study, the inward journey, and creating a harmonious equilibrium of divine right action and self-renewal. Spiritual discernment, we practice self-love. And so our spiritual practice for this week, and I've asked the tech team to put this in the comments on our Facebook page and in the chat on our Zoom page. Our practice this week, our call is to gift ourselves the time to be aware, aligned, and renewed. This is the gift that we give to ourselves, to be aligned, to be aware, and to be renewed. And the first one is to restore and nourish your soul by embracing stillness each day. Gift yourself time to unplug, to be still, and to listen. Integrate spiritual principle in your daily life through spiritual practice beyond theory. That is an invitation to take our spiritual practices to the next level, moving from the head, if you will, to the heart. This is moving from theory into practice. Actually, it works in reverse because everything begins with the heart. The heart is where all of the signals emerge that send out to the rest of the body how it is to respond. And then our third step is to practice self-care through intentional living and conscious choices. And then the fourth practice, the fourth step, if you will, is to expand and evolve our consciousness through sacred conversations that evoke curiosity. I like that one. Sacred conversations that evoke curiosity. That takes us away from the complaining. Someone recently posed a question on Facebook, and it asked, how do you stop complaining? And it was interesting to see the various responses that came back. And I don't remember verbatim, but I believe my response was, what stops me from complaining is the awareness that I am a unique, individualized expression of spirit, and there's only me. And when I get tired of telling the story, then that's when I stop complaining. And so we reach that point in our journey where our conversations become those sacred conversations that evoke curiosity rather than complaining. And so as we rise and see the world in which each and every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other, we rise and we see a world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. And Ernest Holmes sums this up. This was an article that appeared in the August 2019 edition of the Science of Mind magazine. And it's a very simple and yet a very profound and very thought-provoking statement. At least this is what it represented for me. There is something within you that sings the song of eternity. Listen to it. There's something within you that sings the song of eternity. Listen to it. And as we listen, let us share our affirmation for the week. Today I rise and re-emerge fully nourished, restored, and renewed. And I'm going to say that again. I'm going to break it up and I invite you to respond. Today I rise and emerge fully nourished, restored, and renewed. And so as we listen to the song that is singing itself, the song of eternity that is singing itself in and through and as us, let us pray together. And so once again, we return to that place of the heart, that place where the all-powerful presence that is always a presence and not an absence is just illuminating all of life, illuminating all of its creation, knowing that each one is an individualized expression of this creation. I speak my word now, giving thanks for this time together, giving thanks for all that has transpired up to this point, knowing that as I take the time to rise and refresh and restore and renew through my intentional and playful pauses to listen with an open heart, to listen with an open mind, to listen with open ears, that everything continues to unfold in divine, right, and perfect order in my life. And as I embrace and affirm and accept this truth for myself, I embrace it, I affirm it, and I accept it for all beings. And as we take that intentional pause to be refreshed and restored and renewed, sometimes it requires us to unplug from everything and just to go and be in the stillness. And wherever that place of stillness resonates for you, I invite you to take some intentional time during the week to go and be in that place. For it is in that place, it reminds me of the song that says, I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear so softly and dear. It's that voice of spirit that is speaking. So find that place that resonates, where the dew is still on the roses, and that sweet, still voice whispers. And out of the whisper is the motivation and the encouragement to be and then to serve, to move forward as the expression of spirit in all of its magnificence. This is the mystery of life that is not to be resolved, but to be lived and to be experienced. And so I speak my word of blessing this morning for places where individuals are gathering, in the name and nature of the one source, recognizing that each path, each tradition, each spiritual practice is that which calls and resonates with the practitioners of those principles, and that there is no right or wrong. There's only God. There is only love. And so we walk this path together in harmony, in peace, in joy, in resonance with the very essence of life that is in and through and as everything. I speak my word of blessing this morning for right livelihood, for perfect and divine health, for the restoration of the physical body temple, for the restoration of the mental body temple, and for the restoration of the spiritual body temple, knowing that everything is working in perfect alignment and in perfect harmony to fulfill our individual mission or our individual calling to be what we are called here to be. I bless individuals and families that are moving through the experience of transitions of loved ones who have left this plane of expression and have moved on to their next grand, greater life to be. For those who are experiencing other forms of illness, I know that divine healing is taking place right here and right now. And that healing results in the divine action of spirit, healing that which is separated, healing that which has been torn asunder, bringing harmony and bringing peace back into not only our individual lives, but bringing peace into our world, bringing peace into our nation. Knowing that when there is peace in my mind, when there is peace in my heart, then there is peace in the world, because this peace has a ripple effect that flows out and beyond all of those places where there's seeming chaos, knowing that the Spirit and the presence of God is right there. And so we call forth that God energy to put aside the violence and to remind each one that life is precious and that God is absolutely all that there is. And so for this and so much more, I give great thanks. Releasing this word into the law, which always says yes, I just allow it to be. And I invite us to affirm this together by saying, and so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and good morning. And now it is our time to share our abundance, to share the goodness that shows up as spiritual form. And so we have an affirmation of abundance, and I invite us to share that together. I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. Jude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of interrupted abundance. I release this visible supply as an outer symbol of my inner supply into the physical world. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And I continue to just express deep, deep gratitude for each one that contributes to the center in the form of finances and in the other ways that you support us. And I know there's a lot of prayers that are supporting us as we go along. And to experience and participate in the law of circulation, there are ways on your screen to donate to our center, and all of your donations are tax deductible to the extent of the law. And so I invite our virtual audience to join us next week as we begin our new series for the month of September. And that series is Reaching Higher, Reaching Higher. And our message for next Sunday is Reaching Higher, which is the kickoff for our theme. And it also is a celebration of my first year anniversary as your minister and spiritual leader. So we will have an exciting time on next Sunday.